I think we got a good sweep in on the front porch, Nick. And
life is good, Jimmy.
yeah,
Life is good.
I feel like I've been
right
living
now.
on the boardwalk. Like I live
Life
on the Jersey Shore.
good.
I got to sweep the sand off the front patio. The Avalanche obviously took care of business in round one. It was a huge weekend. It was a low key, the first weekend of 2022 where it's like the summer, everything starts to hit. Kentucky Derby, UFC 274, NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs. We have all of that to get to. Oh, Canelo having a boxing match and getting upset. Apparently, it does matter if you go up 35 pounds in a weight class. That's all coming on episode 86 of the Far End of the Bench. Before we get into things at FEOTB Pod, we are doing 2 episodes a week, Wednesdays and Fridays. And be sure to check out last Friday's episode. We got a quick little segment done with Griffin Youngs, co-host of the Tell It As It Is podcast. They're buzzing still off of that sweep that the Avalanche had. We'll get to that more towards the end of the show. But I think we should start with what's going to turn out to be one of the biggest upsets in sports history. And the best way that I heard it described was there's different levels of horse racing, just like there's different levels of professional baseball, MLB, AAA. This horse had never won even a AAA level race. I think the last race he won was like a selling race or a sire race to where they were going to maybe pass his bloodline.
The races no one knows about.
Yes.
You watch horse racing maybe one time a year, maybe 3 if you watch the Belmont and the Preakness. But the one time a year, the one random horse decided, you know what? Screw everything. The dude, one of the greatest comebacks too. The dude was middle of the pack on the second turn.
That horse was going for people's necks. He was biting the other horses. He tried to bite the cameraman when they were trying to interview the jockey.
Absolute grit, man. I love it. The freaking grit out of this horse. Like I said, that's a bucket list item. I want to have a horse that runs races. I do. I don't care how it gets done, but that's a bucket list of mine.
You and your dad and your horses. Dude,
I don't know how much fun it'd be to take a race to the horse. You know,
I have such little experience around horses. I couldn't even tell you. Like, I think I
have no idea either. It's be an absolute shot in the dark, but it'd be worth it.
Yeah, some of those I'd like to see, like the rodeo show horses that they trot out there that have like the 6-packs and the better chest than I have. This horse, the owner of this horse, I don't know if you heard the story. He was watching the race, realized that they won the Kentucky Derby, and the owner passed out in the barn or wherever he was watching the race from. He could not believe that he won. And then he was interviewed the next day on ESPN or like Fox Sports or something like that. And he was doing his best Ricky Bobby. He was like standing way back here and 3 feet away from the microphone and talking really, really quiet like this. I don't know what to do with my hands. 80-1. 80-1.
I don't know if it's the greatest upset, but man, this in all of sports, but man, we're not going to get a Triple Crown winner. I'll tell you that this year. But talk about.
You don't think he's going to repeat at the Belmont?
It's gonna be a lot. It's gonna take a lot. But
is he gonna be slotted higher than 20? That would be the question.
Yeah, his odds will jack up. I don't even like I said, we're not avid horse racing fans. We're horse racing fans for the 1 week a year. Yeah. And we both bet on it and watch it. But besides that, yeah, no, it's good for the horse. I had money on Epicenter and Tiz the Bomb. Epicenter was like the second or third best odds, and then Tiz the Bomb was my long shot, which obviously didn't pan out. And then the what was it? Dick Rich or something? Richard something?
I have no clue.
Dick Strike, Rich Strike is his name.
Rich Strike is the one that won.
Everyone was calling him Dick Strike because of Rich, the nickname Rich. So Dick Strike won, yeah.
That makes sense. I don't know. There was some. I don't know if you heard through the grapevine or if you're scouring the same levels of the internet that I was. There's some conspiracies about what happened over the weekend. It's the second largest upset in 148 Kentucky Derby races, and it was coming out. It just so happened to be the same weekend that there was going to be a story dropping about Bob Baffert and possible animal cruelty in his training practices.
Oh God! Oh no!
So,
I was about to say something. I was like, "Where the fuck?" Because when
he was banned from the venue.
When in doubt, you bet on Bob Baffert's horse.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if his horse has a 30-1 odds or 80-1 odds. One in doubt, you bet on Bob Baffert's horse, and I did not know that. This is news to me, as I'm shocked about it. But
Yeah,
I mean, when you have that many good horses, I mean, something a little fishy's in the water. Like, come on.
It goes back to last year with Medina Spirit and the fact that the horse died like 3 months after the race happened, and they did find the positive test. Went back to that. He had to sell off all of his horses. He just sold them to like his apprentice trainers. He didn't really sell them all. He was still going to collect from them. And yeah, there was going to be an article dropping about his animal cruelty, and this just so happens to happen the week that it did. And now this is the biggest story.
It's the biggest event every single year, and this news comes out. I did not know that is wild. Like I said, I'm not going to say here.
I don't know the validity of any of it. I just know that there's a rumor circulating around the stables apparently that Bob Baffert might not be using the best, most humane practices on some of his horses. And then you look back at the fact that Medina Spirit died, like I said, after the race. There's smoke, there's fire. If there's enough smoke. I'm not stupid. If your horses keep dying and keep testing positive for steroids, you're obviously giving them steroids. It's not an accident. They can't willingly go out and they're not willingly purchasing steroids. It's not like there's a Gold's Gym for horses. There's no Equine Gold's horses. Yeah. Are you gonna do you watch the Belmont and Preakness at all?
No, I watched the Kentucky Derby.
I was gonna say
I only watched the Preakness because, or when there's a Triple Crown in the stake. Like I watch Kentucky Derby every year. That's still a bucket list item for me to go. But Preakness, I probably, or whatever, Preakness or Belmont, whatever, which one's the last one. I always watch the last one if there's a Triple Crown winner. But I mean, unless something crazy happens,
it would be the biggest upset of a Triple Crown winner of all time. To put it in perspective, it was an 80-1 upset for Rich Strike over the weekend. Buster Douglas over Mike Tyson was 20-1 odds. It was over 6 times bigger than what we. I don't think that was right. Over 4 times bigger.
Yeah, if you threw $5 on it, you would have won $400.
Yeah,
that's all you need to hear. That's all you need to say.
Why
I didn't think about that while I was in Reno, Nevada, I don't know, Jimmy. I don't know. I don't know why I didn't even think about it. Give me the worst odds, throw $5 on it.
That was one of the stories I heard. There was a guy that was at the venue, and he walked out past the sports book, and the guy gave him a tip. He's like, nobody has put any money. This is a horse that just got added 8 hours ago into the race, and nobody's put any money on that. He put down $20 and won himself a nice little bag off the weekend. He bet on all the other horses too, so it's not like I think he ended up coming out positively, but
yeah, you can bet smart like that with the Kentucky Derby.
Why you got to get into the good old boys club?
Yeah, that's too complicated for me to figure out how I'm going to bet on every single horse and still come out positive. So it's a great story. I'll tell you that. Like I said, you love to see those underdogs.
The other big events from Saturday night would be Michael Chandler having his bounce back in the UFC. UFC 274 delivered a few memorable moments, and that started with Michael Chandler. He KO'd Tony Ferguson. And
rip Tony Ferguson's career. Yeah. My God, that's a nail in the coffin. If Tony Ferguson had it, was one of the most storied fighters to never hold a legitimate title. He held an interim championship, but he never beat the champ. So never one of the best fighters of all time to never win the real belt. But man,
he's done. He was done after the Gaethje beating that he took. Like, they should not have allowed him to get back in the octagon. He's Diego Sanchez at this point. There was nothing he had for Michael Chandler in that fight. And I give kudos to Michael Chandler because after him losing his last 2 fights, he had to make a statement, and this was that statement. So it was huge for him.
He only lost his last 1 fight, right? Oh no, he lost to Gaethje. He lost to Gaethje and Oliveira. You're right.
So he came in with all the hype, knocked out Dan Hooker, and then went on a 2-fight losing streak. He's bounced back, and it's nice to see because he's been on Bustle with the boys.
Feed him Conor McGregor. He will kick the absolute living shit out of him.
Yeah,
I don't think he deserves a title shot right away. I think there's some other. You can maybe give Dustin another shot. You can maybe give Justin another shot. There's a few names there you can go after and let Makachev give a shot. Like there's a few guys that are maybe in line above him, but give him Conor McGregor. That shit will sell out so damn quick. And I think Chandler will whoop his ass. Conor's over here calling out Oliveira. Oliveira will kick his ass.
Dude,
so quick.
Yeah,
so quick.
Oliveira, all he does is make us look. We keep saying that he's not the best of the 155ers. He's now proven it. He's beaten the other four that we said could beat him, and he's done it in dominant fashion in everyone. The Gaethje had no shot. He shut him down from the opening bell, and he might have the best rear naked choke in the UFC currently. It's on par with the prime Uriah Faber, where he gets your back. It's going to be a submission. Even if he's not around the throat, he's going to crank your neck so hard, and he's a stud. Like Charles Oliveira is rightful king of the 155-pound weight class. I think that you need a guy to prove himself very worthy. I would almost say that Oliveira is going to be on the back burner for a little bit of time because they got to figure out who's going to be the next contender.
I think it's Makhachev. I'm serious. I do think it's Makhachev because I think they're so high on him. And what better story than the guy who took the belt or took the belt right after Khabib retired than to face the next guy of Khabib's predecessor and Makhachev. Like I think that's just a perfect situation. That's a fight where I think Makhachev may be favorited slightly, but that's a fight I'm betting on Oliveira. Makhachev is a damn good fighter, but if there's one guy that can handle the ground and pound of Makhachev, it's Oliveira. Because like I said, Gaethje, like Khabib said it best, it's like taking a guy to the deep end of the pool. He can't do anything about it, and he's just treading water. There's no saving him. You're just stuck there when you go on the ground with this guy, and he can stand up and punch with the best of them too. He's excelled in that and adding that part of his game. So yeah, I love Gaethje, but man, he is not coming in with the right gameplay, right mind space, talking all this shit. Look, I get Oliveira coming in overweight. That shit should never fly. But at the same time, like you gotta at least get your head on straight because you could tell something was off. You could absolutely tell something was off.
He wasn't the Justin Gaethje that surgically annihilated Tony Ferguson and earned his way to a title shot against Khabib. Remember, he went on that crazy run to where he was just winning fights left and right and doing it in not the Justin Gaethje way. He went back to his old school, bite down on my mouthpiece and throw haymakers, and Charles Oliveira just sat back and like a surgeon picked, and he won every single stand-up exchange. There was not one where Gaethje had landed the better shot. He was coming away, getting his head snapped back with jabs, and then he got rocked. That's what put him to the ground. He didn't even get taken down because I don't think Oliveira could take him down. It's not his style.
Justin Gaethje would not have. Oliveira wanted to take him to the ground. Let's put it that way. Gaethje is the guy that will ground and pound you to the ground. But with an Oliveira as skilled as his Brazilian jiu-jitsu he has, that is a guy you have to try to stand and box. And he tried to. And the one chance he got to try to go to the ground, he got torn apart. It took maybe, I want to take less than a minute for him to get the back, get the choke in to make him tap. Like, kid you not, that quickly once he hit the ground, once they both hit the ground.
Yeah, we kind of slacked on our pre-coverage for UFC 274, so now
there's kind of a little bit of playoffs going on.
There's a lot going on, but I guess the conversation we should have is now, because July is International Fight Week and UFC always puts together their biggest card. Are you aware of anything? Do you have any ideas of what you might want to see for International Fight Week?
I was seeing the rumors swirling about Diaz versus Hamza for the undercard on like a Volk versus Holloway card, I think, or maybe that's a co-main. Mm-hmm. I want to say it might be. I don't know. Maybe it was the Usman division. I don't know. I have no idea what that division looks like or what that card looks like. But just all I care about is do not put fucking Rose Namajunas and fucking Andrade or whoever the hell that the other chick was. Don't ever put them against one another again. That was as bad a fight as the Yoel Romero versus Izzy fight. And that was a snooze fest where Romero was just going like this for 5 rounds and did nothing to offensively. Rose Namajunas just decided decide, oh, I'm gonna be the waiting game and just run around and try to hold on to my belt and make her finish. No, you lost the belt because of inactivity. And I love Thug Rose, but my God, come on. I know you're better than that, Thug Rose.
I'm not as big of a fan of her after the Weili Zhang nonsense and everything going on like that. The card that I see coming up July 2nd, UFC 276, Adesanya and Cannonier. That's going to be a huge one.
That'd be a good one. I think Izzy can tear him apart though.
Yeah, I think Cannonier's going to be. I mean, we saw that Adesanya is not. He can't compete at the 205. Cannonier wrestles and is heavy like a 205er, but nobody's been able to figure him out, getting him to the ground at 185. But that's like, I think that's where we're going to see one of these massive. Maybe that's the Chandler McGregor under co-main event or something like that. It's probably already. Let's see here. They have the schedule already. Volkan Holloway are the co-main of that card.
Yeah,
so UFC 276 has a double title fight for the co-main and main event.
Repeat that main event one more time for me. What was the other one?
Adesanya, Cannonier, and Volkan Holloway.
Yeah, that Volk Holloway fight that has the chances to be the fight of the night. I think. Like I said, I think those two.
Sugar Sean is on that fight on that card too.
Yeah, the Sugar Show is running out of steam. Is all I'll say. He's got to promote some fights.
Miesha Tate.
Oh God! Yeah, now we're just throwing a bunch of old names out there.
2008. We're
back in high school? Out there. Yeah, we're just pulling some old names out there to get.
Jessica Eyes fighting on this card too. Whew.
Oh my God! Yeah, they really are just trying.
Robbie Lawler. Oh, man.
We're on the undercard against who?
Oh, these are very prelims against Brian Barberena.
I bet he's probably a minus 300 favorite. If it's anything less than that, I'm throwing 50 on it.
They don't have odds right now because it's still a few months out.
Yeah.
But that's huge event for the UFC coming up over the summer.
I don't know. They don't miss. They don't miss. Like I said,
they don't.
They've been rumors swirling about John versus Stipe in August/September. I will believe it when I see it. That's the other thing. So, in terms of like other things, Ngannou, they gotta figure out what they're gonna do with heavyweight too, because heavyweight, like Ngannou doesn't have a contract currently. His last fight was his last fight of the contract. So are they going to, because there's rumors swirling about him wanting to box, he'll get his shit kicked in by Fury, but if he wants to make the most money he ever will, that's the money fight, because there's no one else. Maybe John is the only person that will be the other money fight, but if he wants to make more money before he retires, it's a Fury fight. He'll get his ass kicked, but the man will get an absolute fat paycheck. So that's where that is. Man. Maybe Stipe can get himself back in. It looks like he's almost done too. I think he just doesn't care anymore. Not saying he not saying that he just doesn't care about the sport.
It takes a lot out of you getting knocked out like that.
Yeah, it's a different mindset coming back from a thing like that, especially when you're a champ for so long. So it's a wide open division. In light heavyweights, we still have a bunch of dogs with freaking 43-year-old Glover Teixeira at the head. So you don't know what's gonna happen. The UFC just says ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. It doesn't matter who it is, unless it's Rose Namajunas, obviously. They just see money. They see money, and it's printing quicker than you can. And then there's rumors swirling about Kayla Harrison coming in as well, and that would be a dream fight if Nunes ended up getting her belt back and those two squared off with one another. That would be one of the biggest women's fights of all time, in my opinion, right up there with Cyborg and Nunes. So
what do you think about Usman talking about trying to get a Paul fight lined up, a Paul brother fight?
He kicked the shit out of him. What other fight is there for him? Let's be honest. Does he want to face Colby for the third time and kick the shit out of him?
Literally the only fight.
The only one is Leon. And Leon can't sell a fight. Leon cannot sell a fight. They'll be co-main events. He will not get a payday from the Leon Edwards fight unless the only person that is going to be interesting to Usman that would lick his chops for would be Khamzat. But that's if Khamzat can stick with this. That's
a big jump. Like Khamzat and Makhachev, the two guys we were talking about now, have a long. That would be a huge jump, at least numbers wise, rankings. It's not the end all be all, and it's not always
top 4 now. Khamzat, I want to say it's top 10 though. Makhachev's a little bit closer. Khamzat, that's the next money fight for Usman, but it's the skill style, Usman would tear him apart.
Yeah. It was a good weekend this past weekend. Unfortunately, I was hoping for Gaethje. We obviously have the Colorado ties, and he trains with Trevor Whitman, who trained Shane Carwin and a lot of the old school Denver guys that were on the scene, Nate Marquardt, and everybody like that. And elsewhere in combat sports, we had one of the bigger upsets that I was not expecting. I knew that Canelo was going back up in weight classes, but the last time he did that, he absolutely annihilated. It was the Russian champion. I can't think of what his name was. He went up there and got a KO, and it was a clean KO where it was like a one straight right hook, and it was over. And he's going up and facing Bivol, who's 27-0 and a world champion at the light heavyweight division. Canelo's going to go up there and try and win, I think, his like 14th belt or whatever it is. And it was a perfect fight. Saul did not win a round. It was a unanimous decision, 115-1. He won round, but 115-113. There was not a judge that saw Canelo beating Ryan Bivol over the weekend, and he was the pound for pound king, and he's now got two chinks in his armor. One was Floyd Mayweather, and now Bivol is the only other person to ever beat Canelo.
Yeah, I wish I could sit here and act like I cared about the boxing world, but the amount of shit that they put these guys.
Cool.
The amount of unpromotion and everything. I didn't know Canelo was fighting until the result was posted. Yeah. Let's put it that way. Canelo is probably the second biggest star in your sport outside of Fury. And that's the heavyweight boxing champion of the world. Fury can sell a fight because he's entertaining as fuck. Canelo cannot speak 2 words of English, and it's nothing against him. I have nothing against that. But you gotta have some fire in you. You gotta be able to promote something, because when you're trying to combat a UFC card where, even though not that great of a card, top to bottom, fight wise, you're not gonna win many of those fights. Like in general, it's. Am I gonna watch Oliveira versus Gaethje or watch Canelo? Canelo is one of the best in boxing. There's zero doubt about that. He's just obviously very good for where he's weighted at, but I'm going to be watching Oliveira Gaethje 9 times out of 10. Unless Canelo gets a money fight against Mayweather again, or gets me excited against this up-and-comer, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. And I see what he's trying to do. I see him trying to win all these fights, win all these things, but at some point, you got to do what Floyd did. Say, peace. I'm going to make money doing movies, make money facing YouTubers, do some dumb shit, because you ain't getting paydays doing this for much longer. That's the unfortunate part about boxing. That's the sad part about boxing and where it's at. It is the sad part about it.
Canelo's like the only guy right now. Him and Tyson Fury are the only two that are legit superstars in the world of boxing, because when Canelo fights, the entire country of Mexico is watching. So he does have that draw just because he brings the entire country with him. And he normally fights another Latin fighter, so he gets a lot of eyeballs that way. There's a contingent of people who are like us that probably aren't as familiar with boxing, but I think there's just as big of a contingent of people that we're not aware of that do watch the boxing. And this card was co-promoted through Barstool. There was a link that you could go to, and you would be able to hear Portnoy, Big Cat, and a couple other personalities from Barstool. They would be the call of the fight. So I think they probably got a few more eyeballs that way. I don't think it was a terrible card. And now it was good for boxing in the fact that Ryan Bivol could be put as your next superstar, because Canelo was getting towards the end of his career. He'd been boxing since he was 15 professionally, but he is starting to wind things down and maybe turn towards movies or something like that. So Bivol can now be the next face of your sport.
If you're Canelo and you see the money Jake Paul is making facing dumbasses in the boxing ring, and you can think, oh, I know I can knock the shit out of this guy. Tell me Jake Paul would not do that in a heartbeat. People, Jake Paul would never do that, blah, blah, blah. He would. Absolutely he would. It'd be a disgrace to boxing. I'll say it. It'd be a disgrace to boxing, but it's at the point where the UFC is taking up so much more of this land of the combat sports land, that boxing is hanging on to a thread because of 2 people. And maybe you can say 3 because of Jake Paul. Yes, I'll say it. Jake Paul is the 3rd biggest boxer in the world, and he sucks. That's just that's just a sad part about it. That's
You think
all
he's
you need
gonna-
to know.
You think he's
That's
going to
all-
knock out Logan? He's fighting Logan now. I think that's scheduled next.
I don't like.
Yeah.
If he fights Ron Artest, I don't care. I don't care if he fights Canelo. I don't care. I don't care about those two fights at all.
It happened. It's funny because Dana White, there's that picture going around where Dana White's watching the Canelo fight at the UFC event. That's mainly because the boxing events are like, he can kind of space it out. I don't know. He's a big enough boxing fan. I don't think that it has to do with boxing being bigger than, It wasn't.
It's not like he watched every other fight on that goddamn boxing card.
The undercard of boxing. The only time that I've ever been happy I watched the undercard of a boxing fight, I actually got to see Lomachenko when he was on an undercard of a Mayweather fight, and he was immaculate to watch at that time in his career. So that was the only time. Everything else that I've ever seen on the undercard of a boxing match has been absolute dog shit. Jose Canseco when he did the Rough and Rowdy. That's what is on the boxing undercard most of the time.
Yeah, come on. Like I don't even know who boxing promoters is or who the boxing promoters are these days or who the hell's watching what or what's on where. But come on, man, we can be.
It's pretty much all still the same guys unless they die. That's the thing about boxing promoters.
It's their kids. It's their kids or their sons or daughters. Like,
there's one guy, Duke Tobin, I think is still not Duke Tobin. There's a boxing owner that's 90 years old and he's still promoting all of his own fights and doing it from that level. Let's move into the playoffs because that's the meat and potatoes of what this episode is going to be. And we're starting with basketball because we've been more focused on hockey first. The last few episodes, it's been right after Avalanche games. Avalanche don't have a game that we have to record around this week. So we're starting with basketball.